Welcome to the Dave Cox Radio Show, powered by Miller Lite from Learfield IMG College on the Rudy Sports Network, presented by Berkshire Bank. I want to thank our friends at Newport Propane, Rhode Island's #1 choice for all your propane needs. Family owned and operated since 1959. Newport Propane will treat you like part of the family. Visit them at newportpropane.com. Pleased to be joined by Dave Cox, the head coach of the University of Rhode Island. And Fats Russell, senior. You are senior. Unbelievable, man. It goes by fast. Doesn't it, Fats?
It flew by.
I remember when you were just a young kid and we're in #2 back then, right?
Yeah.
Right? Trying to earn you #1, but wasn't available at that time. And here you are, #1 on your jersey and #1 on our list, too. So look forward to talking to Fats and Coach about a lot of things. Coach, in the second half of the show, we're going to hit scheduling, player assessment, recruiting, other business that's in the news today as far as college basketball goes. But right now, while we have Fats with us, there's some obviously extremely important issues throughout this world that are affecting the URI campus and all other campuses as well. We want to touch on those. One being racial injustice, the other the COVID pandemic and how you guys are handling that experience on campus as well. Start with the racial and social injustice and the fight against that throughout the country and on college campuses as well. Coach, I know the business card says head coach of the University of Rhode Island Rams basketball team, but especially in these times, but always, there's a lot more to it than just that, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Steve. And as you mentioned, I do take this role of being the head coach very seriously, but I also consider myself a teacher and an educator. And having 13 players who are young men who will be going out into this real world sooner, rather than later. I think it's really important for us as a staff to continually and collectively talk about what is transpiring, outside in the world. And you mentioned the civil unrest, and obviously, it piqued everybody's interest after the George Floyd incident, but it's been on my conscience, as a Black man for over 40 years. And it's something that I think it's very important for our young men to know the history and to be able to, articulate their points of views moving forward.
Talking about that history, Coach, you've developed a program called The List, from slavery to George Floyd, 1619 to present. Talk about that, if you will.
Sure. Basically, it's a summary in general of 401 years, basically, of historical facts. And I think that's important to know. These are historical facts. It's no revisionist history or anything like that. And these are facts that, again, unfortunately, I know that I wasn't taught or made aware of, even though I came through some, pretty good educational institutions growing up in the DC area and even in college. But these are facts that I don't want to say have been withheld, from us, but they are parts of history that we weren't made aware of, particularly, in the educational areas. So I just found it very important for us as a staff and as a team, to go over these facts. I mean, starting with the fact that in 1619, 20 slaves arrived here, and then the entire history, from, breaking free of slavery to all of the things we've had to deal with, with Black codes and Jim Crow and civil rights movement. And here we are here today in 2020. And unfortunately, some of those really ugly parts of our history still exist.
Talk about how you present it to the team. I hear it's at the end of practice. You spend a few minutes.
Well, typically right now we have usually a day during the week off, so, we'll have multiple days where we're working out on the floor and we're getting it in the weight room. And then we'll usually have a day, typically a Wednesday in the middle of the week, where we're just off, relax the bodies. And that's a good time for me to feed them this information. So we'll go in the film room and we'll have, these discussions that could last anywhere from 30 minutes to, an hour or more. So I'm feeding them information, but the important part of it is the interaction that exists, in that room, with our guys. I mean, again, Fats is obviously, one of the players who's in the room. And I think he's getting some information that he hadn't been aware of. And I think it's become a little bit of an awakening for him and an awakening for some of our other players. And that's the whole point of it, just for them to be conscious and aware of their history, particularly of the history of African Americans in this country, and all of the things that we have do to enhance and add to the greatness of this country.
Fats, what have you learned?
I learned a lot. Coach Cox is doing a great job of teaching me, not just me, but our team, of our past history. As a young African American man, we're supposed to know these things. So on Wednesday, like you said, we go into the film room and we just have talks, like real talks, about life today and life how it was years ago. So I've just been learning and just absorbing everything that he's been teaching, and it's been amazing.
What's the team's reaction? You talked to your teammates about it afterward, I'm sure. Good reaction across the board as far as the information they're getting?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Everybody's, like, always engaged on Wednesday. So it's kind of fun to see, like, we kind of struggle with, like, being engaged with things that doesn't really involve basketball. So, like, when you see everybody just engaged and, like, into the conversation and adding on to the conversation, it's like it was really amazing.
It makes you think about things a little bit, right? And more so outside of that realm. On campus, when you're not playing basketball, when you're with your teammates or with other students on campus, is this more of a conversation now, not necessarily the list, but just the social injustice, the things of the world today, than it may have been before all of this happened?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because the circumstances we're in today, just seeing, like, all these things that's happening in the world, and it's just, like, a topic of conversation, honestly. But we're just all around each other and just comforting each other and just learning as we go on.
I was really interested when Jalen Carey committed to URI, transferring from Syracuse. One of the comments that he made was that a factor in the process was that he wanted to play for a black coach. And Dave Cox was that person that he selected in this program that he selected as well, which is a credit to Coach Fats. What does it mean for you to have a head coach who has walked in your shoes?
Yeah, it's a great thing to have. He understands us. Sometimes when we come in and have, like, bad days, he kind of understands why we have bad days. Like, we might be struggling with things that really don't involve basketball. So he kind of understands that and helps guide us in, like, the right direction. So he doesn't really get down on us when we have a bad day. He kind of asks us what's wrong and tries to help us beyond basketball. So that's all you could really ask for a coach.
Coach, you want to add to that?
Oh, well, shoot, man, I'm blessed. I mean, I truly mean that. I'm blessed to be in this position. I'm blessed to be the head coach and blessed to be the leader of men. In this particular group, as Fats mentioned, they've been awesome. You know, Steve, it's not always easy necessarily to sit 13 or 14, 20-year-old men down in a room and have serious, conversations to them about, whether it's politics or whether it's voting rights or whether it's, our history. A lot of times they would rather talk about, other things. But this group has been amazing in that they have been super engaged and they have asked thoughtful questions. And you could tell now that it's truly, on their conscience. And that's important. That's really important particularly for young, black men to know their history, to have pride, a source of pride in their history and what we have had to overcome, in this country. So, the talks have been great for them, I hope. They certainly have been great for me, just as a father, as a teacher, seeing these guys kind of taking on a new consciousness and a new awakening. It's been very positive experience for me as well.
Fats, Coach mentioned voting rights, et cetera. I know the student athletes, not only basketball, but across the board at URI, participated in really the catalyst behind a Get Out the Vote, Register to Vote campaign on campus. Talk a little about what you guys did.
Oh, yeah. Well, we all first got registered to vote. So My whole team's registered to vote. But we went on a walk around campus, and we just interacted with the people that were around campus, just trying to get them to vote. We had our vote T-shirts on where you could scan the thing on the shirt, and it gets you right into register. So, we just walked around campus. We split up in groups and tried to get everybody around campus to vote.
That is excellent. Congratulations on that effort, Fats. And Coach, congratulations to you on presenting that information to the student athletes, to your guys. And I think that's a credit to you, not only as a head coach, but also as a person and a leader of this program that we all love so much. So thanks for that, man. Appreciate it. The other challenge that's in front of us, especially on campus, is the COVID-19 challenge, being able to navigate through safety issues, et cetera. Fats, around campus, obviously, you're very conscious of wearing masks, because I see you have your mask on right now below you. Took it down for the interview. You had it on right up until the time we went on, and I congratulate you for that as well. But on campus, is there a pretty good conformity to people wearing masks and paying attention to some of the safety protocol?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Obviously, we're in kind of weird times right now. But we walk around campus, and you just see everybody with a mask on. Everybody's getting tested. Like, we got random tests coming up soon. So, everything's been kind of safe, and it makes everybody on campus feel comfortable when everybody's following the rules and the directions and stuff like that. Absolutely.
Coach, as far as workouts go, I know you on Monday went from a 5-player pod to a 10-player pod. Fill us in.
Yeah, it's been a fluid situation. Obviously over the summer, we had limited access to the guys. Then late July hit, and NCAA allowed us to start practice. So we started, working out with the guys in small groups. And then we got to actually pretty big size groups. And then just prior to the beginning of the school year, they cut those groups back to 5. And we were in those pods of 5 for the past few weeks. And then, as you mentioned, on Monday, we were able to get to 10. So, our workouts have been in flux, but they've also been really good as well, though.
Now, with a 10-player pod, you can actually have games. Talk about what you did in the 5s and what you're doing in the 10s.
In the 5s, we got a lot of individual work, and it was actually really good. We were able to just kind of hone in on a lot of skill development, whether it's your shot, your footwork, your ball handling, different reads. We were able to just really hone in on the details. And it's something that, to be honest with you, when you have 10 or 12 or 13 guys, you do sometimes miss, some of those details. So in that regard, it's been really good. I'm sure the guys are really glad now that we have 10, though, because now they can play some competitive basketball, play against each other, which is what they really love to do.
Was it guards with guards in the 5s and bigs with bigs?
That's right. Guards and bigs, 2 different groups. Correct.
So, Fats, talk about your experience in the 5s. Were you with Jalen and others?
It was a good experience. We competed with each other. We pushed each other. My fault about that, but we were pushing each other, and it's competitive. We got some really good guards here, and that's all we could do with each other is push each other every day in practice, compete with each other, try to make each other better every time we step on the court.
Yeah, next segment, we want to talk about some of the new guys and you and Jalen playing together and things of that sort. We'll get into that second segment. As you move to 10, you get to play 5-on-5, I'm guessing. And Fats, that's where you guys are having some fun.
Oh yeah, we really get to compete against each other now. We add the bigs in and just get after it,
Coach, testing. What's the scheduling for that?
For the
COVID testing, yeah.
Well, we've been tested probably as a team. I would say 8 to 10 times in the last 6 to 8 weeks. So it's been very consistent, at least once a week. As you know, the NCAA has mandated that number jump up to 3 times a week come season play. So we will follow that. Right now, we're just in the we're in the weekly testing pattern.
And Coach, as an aside, people don't realize, none of us realize, I think, the expense that the school has each school has put forward in order to pay for the tests, to finance the other safety protocols that are in place on campus. And we've seen countrywide some schools having to make some cutbacks in that area because of that situation. But it's a challenge, certainly from a personnel standpoint, but also from a financial standpoint for each school, not only URI, but each school to make sure they're keeping up to the standard.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And our school has met that challenge head on. Again, obviously, thanks to President Dooley and Thor for their leadership. And, obviously stressing the importance of athletics here as well. Obviously, the school being open and thriving is of utmost importance, great school of higher learning. But, these student athletes, in regards to their mental health, it's very important that they, get out there on the floor or on the field and compete and kind of continue to go through their routines that they have been going through for the past several years, maybe some of them more than 10 years. So they knew, administration-wise, knew how important it was to put these protocols in place so that the school could continue to run and so that these athletic programs can continue to also have their seasons.
Steve McDonald with Dave Cox, the head coach of the University of Rhode Island, and Fatch Russell with us as well. Fatch, we appreciate your input into the first segment, talking about the serious issues of the day. We want to talk about your basketball now and your development. I am a follower on Instagram of Fatch Russell on Limitless. It takes me a little while to get on, but I get you. And I noticed just the other day, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, you put up how it all started. You were number 2 back then, freshman year, playing Oklahoma in the NCAA tournament. And the first clip of the video was you and Trae Young. You remember that one?
Yeah, definitely.
Take us through that series.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's how it all started because that's when I really got on, the national scene. I feel like everybody talks about when I stole the ball from him and hit the 3. So, yeah, that's kind of where it all started. My first ever NCAA March Madness game. And, it's an experience that I will never forget.
That's it. And just getting back there is what the goal is, obviously, for your senior year. But that was the first thing on there. You stripped Trae Young, and you dropped down to 3 right from there. Coach, you remember that?
Absolutely. That was a huge play.
In fact, reminds you of it every day probably, right? In fact, when you watch Trae in the NBA, you think about that game?
Yeah. But he's kind of just doing what he did in college. Like he's a great player. He's hard to guard, and I knew eventually he was going to be really good in the NBA because it's hard to guard somebody when you got to guard them at half court. So
yeah, exactly. Hey, you took a look at the NBA after last season, and just give us an idea what you're allowed to talk to NBA people about your situation. What did they tell you about you, and what did they say you needed to do to get to that next level?
Well, first they told me that I needed to run my team better, which it was because me and Jeff was side by side, and
right.
We had to kind of defer to each other, honestly. So they told me they would love to see me run my team better and just be more of a vocal leader. They said the offensive stuff comes easy to me, and the game kind of comes easy to me. They just want to see me be more of a vocal leader and run my team better.
You got Jalen Carey in, Jeremy Shepard as well, and some other bigger guards that are going to be with you guys like Malik and everything. But with you and Jalen coming in, top 50 player coming out of high school, and great acclaim there. And Jeremy Shepard, certainly. With those guys, do you see a mix that will allow you to do that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They're going to make the game way easier. They're really good guards, really good guards. And we have a really talented team as well. So it's going to be kind of easy leading these guys into winning and being successful because they're just talented. They're talented. So it's kind of easy to lead talented guys in the right direction.
How do you and Jalen complement each other on the court? You got a chance to play with them a little bit.
Oh, yeah, we complement each other really good. Talent always comes together and forms something good. So, yeah, it's been really good. Me, Jalen, and Shep, and Malik, we all kind of gel and complement each other's game really well.
Coach, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I would echo those sentiments. These guys are dynamic college basketball players. They all have a little bit of alpha in them. They all have the ability to do some special things with the basketball in their hand, whether it's shooting it, or making plays off the bounce. They're so creative. And they have been, they've got a mutual respect for one another, and they have been gelling, off the court as much as they have been on the floor. So I'm excited, really excited about getting those guys out there on the floor in real competition.
Fats, talk about the offseason, really from the end of last year. A lot of shutdowns throughout the country, so it was harder for you to get your workouts in, but we saw with Instagram that you were able to do some of that. And then how it's been for you compared to other years trying to prepare for this year?
Well, to be honest, it's been kind of difficult for me because I had a little setback. But for the most part, I've been getting stronger, getting better, getting more consistent, and just trying to put as much work in as I can, honestly. It's going to be a big off season. It's been a big off season, and I'm ready. I'm up to the challenge. I'm just ready to go. This Corona stuff kind of like delaying the process a little bit, but man, I'm itching to get back out there. Like I'm ready.
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best shape you've been in your life. Where are you right now with the season still, a month and a half away?
I'm not in the best shape right now because I've been dealing with something, but I'll get there definitely. Before the season starts, I'll get there.
Coach wanted me to ask you about your muscles. He said that you're doing some good work in the weight room. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I've been in there, man. Throwing weights around a little bit.
Coach, talk about these kids coming in. In a normal year, you'll see them in a certain stage of their development. But in this year, being with the hurdles and all, do you see different things from them? As far as stages of progress?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the hurdles, absolutely. But I'll tell you this much. I mean, those guys, they've been here since, midway, through this pandemic. They were here, throughout most of the summer, getting in a lot of work on their own. Then when we were able to get into the gym with them, they've got tremendous work ethic. Everybody loves the game. They're really highly, highly competitive. And I'll just tell you this much about the guy that we got on the screen. I think everybody was, somewhat surprised, in a positive way, with his growth as a player, particularly his leadership, last year. We always knew as a staff that he had it in him. We just needed some guys to kind of move on and for him to kind of take over the mantle. So it was like a 180-degree turn in regards to his, maturity and obviously his play last year. With that being said, I've been pleasantly surprised by the continued growth of Fats in that department, as far as leading, as far as being mature, as far as kind of taking this team, as his own. As long as that guy, is the leader of this team, is the guy, who we're going to kind of depend on in clutch situations. He's going to be my right-hand man. As long as he's that guy, I feel really good, about this team, even though we have all of these hurdles, to be honest with you.
Fats, we love what you did last year, obviously. What have you worked on in the offseason? What are we going to see improved from Fats Russell this year?
I can't give you all my secrets, Steve, but I've been extending my range farther out a little bit. Obviously, I've been getting stronger and just tightening up everything, just trying to be as sharp as I can.
Coach, have you noticed that? What have you noticed about Fats' game that impresses you?
Yeah,
above and beyond what we know already.
Sure. No, he's definitely worked on extending his range. We've talked a lot about, his ability at the NBA level, potentially to be able to score at that level. We always know he can get to the rim, he can get to his spots. But like he said, it's hard to guard a guy who can do all those things as well as shoot the ball from distance. So, he's continuing to extend his range and become a more consistent shooter from that deep. But I think the biggest thing, as I just mentioned, just the intangibles of leading. You can feel it, you can sense it when he walks into the gym, when he approaches a huddle, when he approaches his teammates, the command and the respect that he has, over the team. And, I just think that bodes really well for this team. Just think of all the experiences Fats has had here in those quick 3 years. You know what I mean? The NCAA appearances, the championship games, all of the big games that we've played in, all of the big moments that he's had. He's able to kind of, relay his message to the guys. And I think it's been very beneficial so far, and I can't wait till the season starts.
Fats, in the NBA, it's a big guards league, they say. But you bring certain things to the table that maybe a big guard wouldn't. How do you answer people that might say that, a little bit too small, but you've got some other skills going on?
Yeah, I don't really believe in like the big guard leagues, things like that, because if you could play basketball at a high level, then you could play anywhere, I feel like. So, obviously, like I bring the quickness and speed and shooting ability and stuff like that. But I just feel like for people to actually make that league, it's all about like how big your heart is and how much you believe in yourself, and yeah, just bringing something different. Like that's all you got to do, really. I feel like.
I agree 100%. Anybody in the NBA, past or present, that you model yourself after, that you say, but he's got what I can do?
Allen Iverson is my favorite player, so like that's somebody that since I was younger, like I tried to kind of model my game after and try to be like.
That's a good place to start, right, Coach? We'll take Allen Iverson. Yeah, that's all right.
The irony is that Steve. The irony is that's not what he told me during the recruiting process. During the recruiting process, he had told me that he had seen film of me at William and Mary. So
hey, Fats,
I'm a little thrown off. I'm a little thrown off by that. I mean, Allen Iverson. All right, we'll let it go.
Fats, we'll leave it at this. Somewhere between Coach Cox and Allen Iverson. Okay, is that good enough?
Yeah, somewhere in the
middle. Leaning a little more toward Allen, if you could. We'd appreciate it. Hey, last thing, Fats, for you. Legacy is a big word, right? And you're in your senior year here at Rhode Island, and you're at or near the top of different lists and everything, and you're going to go down as one of the best guards in this program's history. Does that mean a lot to you? What does it mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot to me. Like, it's the reason that I came back to this place. Like, I feel like, well, first I trust Coach Cox with my life. He's like a family member to me. But other than that, like, I came back to break records and give this program what they gave me. Like, they believed in me since day one, and I feel like it's my – I don't want to say duty, but I feel like it's my – like what I have to do for this program, just to be one of the best players or guards to come out of here, and just continue to grow.
Well, with old fat guys like me, 5-10 years from now, we're talking about the best guys that came through this program. You're going to be in the conversation as one of the quality people that has come through, and also somebody who's improved his game a lot and contributed a lot to the program. Thank you a lot for that, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Coach, we'll be back in a bit. We'll talk about scheduling and things like that. Fats, we're going to let you go, get back to your studies and everything else that you got going on. Thank you for being with us, Fats. We look forward to seeing you on the court real soon.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Fats Russell, Coach will be back with us in just a bit. You're listening to the Dave Cox Radio Show, powered by Miller Lite from Learfield IMG College. Welcome back to the Dave Cox Radio Show, powered by Miller Lite from Learfield IMG College on the Rhody Sports Network, presented by Berkshire Bank. I want to thank our friends at People's Credit Union. People's Credit Union is a proud sponsor of the 3-Point Co-op Shot, which benefits URI's 4-H programs for kids all around Rhode Island. Visit them online at peoplescu.com. Dave, thanks so much for spending some time with us. We thank Fats for being with us in the earlier segments. Scheduling, Coach, 5 non-conference games are in the books. A couple of those are at Mohegan Sun, but the teams have changed a bit there.
Yes, scheduling is in flux. I mean, there's no other way to put it because of this pandemic. It's caused a true ripple effect, and unfortunately, the conferences outside of the Power Five, we're kind of left swinging in the wind here a little bit. We are trying to complete our non-conference schedule, which was, it was completed at one point, but because some teams have either, pulled back for reasons due to the pandemic. It's left us with some voids in the schedule. So we are trying, just like other teams in our conference, to fill those voids.
So Marquette and UCF are out of the tournament, the Hall of Fame tournament. Temple and Virginia Tech are in, and you're not sure who you're going to play yet, right?
Not sure who we're going to play yet. That's still a quality tournament. Virginia Tech, Minnesota, Temple, and us. Very quality tournament. We were obviously really looking forward to playing against Marquette, a Big East, opponent with a pretty big national reputation. But needless to say, this tournament will still be very, very competitive. Another Big East team, Providence College, who's number 30 in Indy Cats' Power 36. So a team that has that pedigree and certainly that net ranking that you like to go up against. That game is off the board as well. Your thoughts, Coach? Yeah, just a disappointing, feeling for not only myself and this fan base and this school, but also for the seniors on this team like Fats and Shep, who won't get the opportunity to play. It's such a huge game. It's a great rivalry game. Obviously a very good team in Providence, a very well-coached team. The game was scheduled initially to be at the Dunk, but because of the pandemic, we were going to play it possibly at a neutral site, and we just couldn't figure it out. So we've had to move on. What was the hurdle that the two sides couldn't get over? Was it just finding a date? Yes, just couldn't come to an agreement on the date. Yeah, okay. So you got Seton Hall hosting Seton Hall. They're number 31 on Indy Cats' Power 36. So a great get there for Rhode Island at the start of a home and home. At BC, which is another start of the home and home with an ACC team, and at Western Kentucky. Those are the three that are locked in. For non-conference, Coach, it's not a lot of games, but it's a lot of power. Yeah, no, it is a lot of heavy. Absolutely, a lot of heavy hitters there. That's and that's what we need, obviously, for our resume building in regards to the NCAA tournament. So, we were happy to secure those games, and obviously we are working on getting some more games, just games in general, to be honest with you, to kind of fill out that non-conference slate. Obviously some of the issues are a lot of the Power Fives now are kind of buckling down and playing a bigger conference season, which limits their number of non-conference games. And then you have some of the smaller conferences who just don't have the money or resources to do the traveling, and obviously, for buy games, no school is offering nearly as much money as they have before the pandemic. So, just financial concerns, travel concerns, quarantine and isolation concerns. It's all, made for a pretty big mess in regards to this scheduling. But, daily, we are addressing the issue, and, hopefully we will resolve it prior to the start of the season. You mentioned Power Conferences expanding and kind of keeping everybody in-house. There was some talk about that in the Atlantic 10. 18 games right now is what's on schedule, which is the norm. Any thoughts on expanding another week of conference ball, Coach? Is that something you'd be in favor of? Yeah, I'd definitely be in favor of at least having that conversation. I think as of right now, the A-10 is just committed to the 18-game season, perhaps moving the season start date up so that there is a week or two on the back end just in case any games are canceled, And then I do think that there's obviously some logic, to that thought process. But, yeah, I would be interested in at least having the conversations about increasing conference games to 20 as opposed to 18. So as far as I see it, the NCAA max games is 25 plus exempt games, and we're in the Mohegan Sun Hall of Fame tournament. So I think that gets you to a max of 27, not that you're going to get there. 18 A-10 games, the 5 non-conference games are in, leaves you some wiggle room on 2 or 3, and you said it's difficult, but what are you looking for? What types of teams make sense? Local, I would imagine, right, where it's an easy day trip or whatever? Well, it depends. I mean, again, if we're just trying to fill out a schedule and just get games, then yes, local makes sense. But if we're still trying to address our potential need to get quality games for the end of the year NCAA tournament, then, those games are being sought as well. So as I mentioned to you, at this point, we're all over the place. We just need games. Beggars can't be picky. So we just need games. All right. Sounds good. We're going to take a break, Coach. When we get back, we're going to look at the player progress
I'll give you the names. You tell us where they stand as far as the newcomers and the guys coming back as well. Dave Cox, Coach's Show. More coming up. The season not too far away. We'll talk about that as well in just a bit. URI Basketball, Dave Cox Radio Show, powered by Miller Lite. Welcome back once again to the Dave Cox Radio Show, powered by Miller Lite from Learfield IMG College on the Rudy Sports Network, presented by Berkshire Bank. Steve McDonald, Dave Cox, all the waivers are approved. Mitchell, Martin, Carey, all in. That's great. And that's due to a lot of great work by the athletic department, getting the representation that Rhode Island needed to make that happen, and it did. Coach, a late recruit, freshman Iliri Ayo-Falai, 6'7", out of Pennsylvania. Tell us a little about him.
Yeah, late find for us. And what a special kid, first of all. I mean, truly a special young man. So it starts there. But what he brings to the table in regards to basketball, he's still new to the game relatively. So he's still, a little bit raw. But a tremendous athlete. I haven't seen anybody run like him, in a long time. He can run, he can jump. His skill set is steadily improving. He's consistent with his 15 and 17 footers. He's going to take the year to redshirt, to kind of hone those skills, get a little bit stronger, learn the system, learn the philosophy. But he has a truly bright future, huge upside.
All right, let's go through the transfers, Coach. I'll give you the name. Tell us what you see right now as you're watching him each day, and what we'll see come late November when we start getting games going. Jalen Carey, 6'3", out of Syracuse. Coach, a lot of acclaim for this kid.
Yeah, special talent. He what he brings to the table is just a unique ability at the guard with his size. I mean, he's about 6'3", so he's a big guard, but he plays like a small guard, meaning he's super speedy. He plays low to the ground, a low center of gravity. He can get to any spot on the floor, he wants to get, and he's boom right there at the rim because he's so athletic. What I expect from him is leadership and poise, because you're talking about a guy who's, played at the highest level in the Big East Conference. He's been in college basketball for 2 years. He played for a Hall of Fame coach in Jim Boeheim. And obviously he was a top 30 player in high school. So he's played against the best of the best. So I would expect him to bring obviously just a sense of calm and a sense of maturity to the floor. What
have you seen of Malik Martin, 6'6", out of Charlotte, Hassan's little brother, All-Conference USA defender?
Yeah, well, I've been pleasantly surprised, and I've said this to anybody who I've talked to. I've been pleasantly surprised with his offensive skill set. So we do know that, he does the intangibles just like his brother Hassan did. We know that he's a dynamic defensive player. He was, all-conference defensive team last year as a sophomore. So we knew that he was bringing that to the table: toughness, physicality. Again, I've been pleasantly surprised by his offensive skill set. While at his previous school, he played, mostly big man. And with us, he'll be mostly on the perimeter, mixing in a little bit of big man, depending on the matchups. And I've been pleasantly surprised with his ball handling ability as well as his shot.
Got some good depth this year at the 4 and 5. You mentioned big men, the Mitchell twins. Right now we'll talk about them collectively. Eventually we'll spread them apart, I guess. But
Sure.
What are the twins showing you, Coach?
Well, Makai and Mikhail are super talented and super competitive young men. Every single day they bring it, and they bring it at a high level. I don't think they enjoy anything. What I've learned from them, I don't think they enjoy anything more than winning. So, they will do anything and everything that we ask of them to do. And when it's time for them to actually compete, whether it's in a 1-on-1, 3-on-3, or 5-on-5 environment, they go extremely hard. They are very, very talented young men. And I think, Rhodey Nation will be really, really excited once those guys get a chance to get out on the floor.
The other two freshmen, other than Iliri, Ishmael Leggett, and Trey Berry, talk about what you're seeing from them in the early going of workouts here throughout September and October.
Well, we were excited when we got the commitment of both of those guys. We got the commitment early in the fall from Ish Leggett. He's somebody that we had kind of tracked as a staff for a couple of years. I don't even know what to say. I mean, he's just a winner. He's just an absolute winner. He's a kid. He's a truly high character kid. He's got a high IQ. but he's got a competitive spirit and a motor that just never turns off. And it is, you can feel it, and you can feel that energy every single day. And then in regards to Trez, we kind of brought him in thinking that, he would be obviously very impactful on the defensive end because he was a very good defender at the high school level, and that his offense would eventually come along. But he's lived in the gym since he's been here, and his offensive game has improved, drastically. He's already knocking down consistently jump shots, toes to the line jumpers. We've got to continue to work on his ball skills, but he's another guy who's a tremendous competitor. The two of those guys, just that class alone, when you add O'Leary to the mix, you've got true gym rats, true competitors, and very coachable young men who bring high character to our team and to our culture.
Got a minute to go, Coach. Of the returnees, who is really impressing you a lot early on here?
I think Jermaine Harris has had, without a doubt, the best summer of all our returners. And that says a lot because, Fats, he lives in the gym, and Antoine Walker and Jeremy, those guys, and DJ, those guys kind of live in the gym. I just think that, Jermaine's mindset going into this summer has really benefited him. And he's lived in the gym. He's changed his body. He's gotten into much, much better shape. And he's moving around and playing like a really confident player that we recruited him to be.
DJ Johnson, where does he fit into the piece of the puzzle?
Oh, it's another dynamic piece that we can play at multiple positions. He can play on the perimeter because of his shooting ability and his ball handling ability, or because he's 6'8" and long and athletic, we could play him at, one of the forward spots, and that could cause a mismatch problem. So yeah, he just brings us, again, tremendous depth and tremendous shooting ability.
10 seconds on Antoine Walker. You like what you see right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is going to be a big year for Antoine. There was just so much uncertainty that he's gone through in the past couple of years. Now his feet are completely on the ground, and he's ready to go.
Coach, thanks for being with us. We'll get in depth with those guys next show. Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being with us, everybody.